Hey everyone, you are in the bed with Red. I am Reese Red, and as I always say, I'm not a comedian, I'm just a woman with some opinions, and what could be funnier than that? As you can see, I'm not in the bed today, I'm actually in my car. The reason I titled the show In the Bed with Red is usually that's where I get my inspiration, in my bed. It's where most of my thoughts come from. But today, I had thoughts come to me while I was in my car, so we're going to keep it real in my automobile. That's the name of the show today, Keeping It Real in My Automobile. I was thinking as I was driving about my brother's wedding that just happened this past weekend, and there were some things that happened that I was privy to that I just wanted to talk about. And I know the situations that occurred at his wedding are not unique to he and his new bride. I'm sure that it happens to everyone at some point during their wedding ceremony and reception. But these are my thoughts about what happened this past weekend. First off, I want to talk about the wedding, the ceremony, and wedding etiquette. I think we all know that it is taboo to wear white to someone's wedding. Yet, there were two girls, count them, 1, 2, uno, dos, that showed up at the wedding with white on. And not only were the dresses white, but they were hoochie white. I mean, they weren't appropriate to wear at a church. They were just stank. The dresses were real stank. And I was shocked when I saw them. I had to tap one of the bridesmaids on the shoulder and have her look at it too, and we both were like stunned. Like, really? That was the only color you had in your closet today to wear to this wedding was white? That was the first thing that you thought of when you decided you were coming to the wedding, you were going to wear white? That's the wrong move. That is the wrong move. First of all, if you don't know what to do, go on Google, google.com. Go in the search engine right at the top, you can type in wedding etiquette. And in the first paragraph of any website that you go on, I'm sure it will mention you don't wear white unless it is requested by the bride and the groom. You just don't do it. I never understand the decisions that people make. Anyway, speaking of the wedding, the ceremony, coming to the wedding late, how far in advance did you know that the wedding was going to take place on such a date at such a time? How long? I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Yeah, you had plenty of time to know that the wedding was going to be on a certain date at a certain time. You had plenty of time to determine how long it would take you to get yourself prepared, get your contact lenses in your eyes, and pick your fro out or put your proper wig on. You had plenty of time to figure all of that out. You had plenty of time to do a dry run to see how long it would take you to get yourself together and get from point A to point B. So why are you showing up to the wedding an hour late? Why? You know why? Because you don't have respect. You don't have the decency to respect other people's time. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. You need to learn how to be more respectful and mindful of people's time, because it's not about you. The ceremony is not about you. So the least you could do is be on time. That's the least you could do. If someone cared enough to invite you, the least you could do is be kind enough to respect their time and be there on time. I never understand people. Anyway, speaking of courtesy, people who don't RSVP to the reception, but yet you expect to be seated, fed, and entertained at the cost of the bride and groom. You received your invitation how far in advance? Maybe, first of all, you found out that they were engaged maybe a few days after their engagement, a few hours, depending on how close you are to the bride and the groom. So you knew for quite some time, at least a year, that they were getting married at a certain date, at a certain time, and the reception was going to follow shortly thereafter. And you probably received your invitation with the RSVP about 3 months in advance of the wedding, because that's typically the time frame that brides and grooms send out their invitations, 3 months. So you knew 90 days before the reception was to happen that you were going to come and expect to be seated, get a dinner, and be entertained. You knew this. But you still did not send in your RSVP. And then you show up. And, true to form, you expect to be seated, you expect dinner, and you expect to be entertained. So who's going to pay for your plate at the last minute? Because the plates are pre-ordered. The funds that were required to get all of that in order had already been allocated and dispersed. You're late behind. Should be paying up for. Matter of fact, you should be going to McDonald's and getting a plate and bringing it to the reception and sitting in the back, because that's what you deserve at this point. I took a class when I was in high school where I was required to go from top to bottom, A to Z, and plan a wedding as if it were my own. In high school, I had to create a budget. I had to stick to the budget. I had to make sure that there was money to pay for the church, the minister, the musicians, the singers, the flowers, the gowns, the bride's gowns, the tuxedos for the groom and the groomsmen, the ushers, the hostess, the bridesmaids, the mother's gowns. I had to make sure that there was money for the reception hall, for the food. You pay per plate, for the beverages. I had to do all of that. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who's invited to a wedding goes into the wedding with that knowledge. But you know, if you're an adult, that the bride and the groom need to know ahead of time whether you're planning on coming or not, so that they can plan to have food for you. But yet you show up with your non-RSVP in behind, and you want to eat with your non-RSVP in behind, and you want to sit and be comfortable and chill and chit-chat with everybody else who RSVP'd. I don't get you. You're showing lack of respect. And quite honestly, you should have been kicked out. That's just my opinion. It wasn't my wedding, so I couldn't kick anybody out. But if I could have, you know who I'm talking to. And I'm not talking to the people who did RSVP, but somehow your name was left off of the list from the master list. I'm not talking about you. You're all good. It's those that didn't even have the courtesy to take the pre-stamped envelope to the mailbox and drop it in there with your RSVP. Those are the ones I'm talking about. Speaking of not being courteous, open bars at reception. If it's an open bar, then you're not paying for anything. And the least you could do is leave a tip. I mean, what's $1? What's $2 for a free drink? And if you're drinking free all night, why not just give $10? Because you've had, what, 4 or 5 drinks that on average would cost you about $6 to $10 if you were at a club, especially downtown. Your $10 for a drink is the norm. You can't put $10 in the tip glass for the people that are serving the drinks. How stingy are you? You're probably the same one that didn't RSVP and wore a white gown, wore a white dress to the wedding. That's probably you, and you were probably late. I already know. I'm just trying to, as I live my life, as I go through this journey, walking very slowly and observing, I'm just trying to understand why people do the things that they do. And I still don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's the way they were raised, the people they hang around. I don't know what it is. I just don't know. But I I ask of those of you viewing, if you don't know, pick up a book. Go online. Find these things out before you go to these events. Find out what is required of you before you go, so that you are not the victim of someone else's video tirade where they blast your, about the things that you do at wedding ceremonies or other things that require you to be out in public and showing yourself. All right, I'm done. I need to walk into this grocery store and get my groceries, but I just had to get this off my chest. Yeah, I feel free now. As always, I want you to have a great, blessed day. Be sure that you are a blessing to those around you. In order to be blessed, you have to be a blessing. That's what I always say. And you're in the bed with Red, keeping it real in the automobile. My bad. But I'm your girl, Reese Red, and as I always say, I'm not a comedian. I'm just a woman with some opinions. And what could be better? What could be funnier than that? Take care of yourselves. Be blessed. God bless. And I love you.